What's up, everybody? What's happening? Welcome. Another video. My little segment called My Thoughts. Said I was going to be doing these every week now. Um, and I was excited to talk about it. I was going to talk about this last week until it came to my mind about the whole PlayStation situation, console situation, and so I was like, let me get that out. But here I want to talk about something that is near and dear to me. Something that I've always appreciated, and pretty much a genre that's kind of put me into the whole that just got me into gaming in the first place. Now, I mean, I joust and pinball and things like that, but I was gaming, but it was more, when I would go to the laundromat with my mom, and then I would get some quarters and do that, and then eventually, when you get a little older, ride the bike to the laundromat or whatever. But there was one particular game that really changed it all for me. And that was a game called Karate. And I don't know how many people are familiar with that game called Karate. Came I think I played it was in the mid 80s. So I was around 8, 9. And that just changed everything for me. Came to just gaming. Um, that was like, hey, like just different, just trying to figure out moves. And another thing about that was there was a lot of older kids that always, older kids or even some adults would come and play that game because it was pretty difficult to try to learn how to play that. But I eventually got better at it, got better at it. I just no life that arcade game. I loved it. And to me, when it comes to fighting games, and if you follow me, you know that fighting games is everything. And so um it's one of the last of the old guard for me. Now I understand that there's still shooters, there's still racers, there's still adventure games and all that, but everything is kind of changed. Racers are still kind of the same. You can't really like over change that. But fighting games is still kind of that old guard for me. Oh, you say you know that game? Okay. All right. And so oh, you know about karate? Okay, all right. So old school, I got you, I got you. But this is the thing about now we going into the future of gaming. And I'm looking at it from all different types of situations, right? And there's definitely changes that needs to be made. Um, some might not be as popular with what I'm going to say, and some might be very popular. Are they going to happen? No, maybe not. They could, but I think in order for fighting games to get back to that golden era, they have to these companies have to make major changes. And go back and you look and think about, oh yeah, well, Kung Fu was great. That's Kung Fu is like a beat 'em up, more of a beat 'em up than it is a fighter to me. But um, there's no question that like fighters, like I was saying earlier, it's just like they're part of the old school, and that's one thing about a fighter that I've always loved about that genre that I love the most is the fact that with shooters, it's different because you get okay. Let's say you could be a really good shooter, and then out of being a great shooter, you go against somebody with a better gun. That person might not be the best shooter, but they got a better gun, and if they just get the jump on you, then you're done. Not about skill against skill. It is skillful in its own way, but not like fighting games. Fighting games is that old school way of your your this is your competition, and it's just you. Don't have any friends. I understand that that's kind of like the PUBG stuff, like people like, but it's just not the same because if somebody still got more better weapons than you in PUBG, then your ass is grass. You know what I mean? It's the competitiveness. It's the nature of it's the nature of just looking, especially at the arcades. And then, when you move to couch co-op, seeing if that person is really about that life when it comes to it. Are they are they going to submit if you whoop their ass enough, or are they going to keep coming at you, or are they going to give up after them bragging about how good they are and all of this and all of that? I've always been a person that I don't quit for nothing. I don't care how bad it is. If you've watched me in my fight nights, I will play a person all night unless until I know that look, there is nothing I can do. But that is very, very rare. I'm always going to find. I'm going to find a cheat code. I'm going to find a code on people, even if you're because that's another thing about fighting games that there's always going to be somebody that's going to kick your ass. There's just no way and if buts about it. And that right there is to me is just I don't know. That's the ultimate thing about it. I'm ultra competitive. Shooters are great. I enjoy them. Racers are great. I enjoy them. But nothing is as competitive, in my opinion, than fighting games. Nothing. Nothing touches that. But with all that being said, this is the biggest problem I think that's going on within games. And it's almost like a gift and a curse, right? Because we have so many fighters out there that a lot of people don't know about. And there are, if you could just, it's really about what, 6 or 7 fighters out there that people could probably name off if they are even into fighters like. It used to be in the 90s where the casual market or the people that don't play those type of games and if they go by and they're like, oh well, this looks kind of cool. It was more accessible for a lot of people back then compared to what it is now. I love Evo, right? But I feel that that's also turned into a gift and a curse for fighters, especially for the lesser name fighters. For Mortal Kombat, Tekken, Smash, Smash Brothers, um, Dead or Alive. Let's see what else. Killer Instinct, and and whatever else that you could probably think into your head, like Injustice, something like that. Between those games are going to be fine. Street Fighter, those are the 7. Those games are going to be fine. They're always going. They're legacy fighters. They already got a name. They've been around for 20, 30 years. Uh, in some cases, and but when you look at a game like I want to say a game, $1 million. Million Ocarina Blood. There's not going to be a lot of people that's going to know that game. Or In Birth. Nobody's going to really know about that game. Even a game that is kind of maybe in who fighters know about, but Blaze Blue. There's not a lot of people that's going to know about that. Guilty Gear. This is the thing that tripped me out. Guilty Gear won Fighter of the Year last year. Guilty Gear Strive. Beautiful looking fighter. It's a really good fighter, really solid fighter. I'm not really good at Guilty Gear. I've never really ever really went totally hard in the paint on Guilty Gear, but I really do respect the game. I really think it's quality. But it only sold a little bit over 1 million. And if you think about that overall, it won Game of the Year. Not Game of the Year, but Fighter of the Year. You're looking at that and you're saying, wait a minute, hold on. Is that, I don't know, like, that's niche. That is very niche. And I think a lot of the problem is because of the scene, which, like I said, I love Evo. I watch Evo. I love to see the competition. I love to see that there's more women fighters. Matter of fact, I was watching a Tekken tournament, and there was an upset. This female character, this female fighter, she just waxed this dude. It was so great. I love it. I love it. When I jump online and I'm playing against a female, and you just see how talented and skilled they are. And I love that because if you grew up into my era of gaming in the 80s and 90s, females weren't into that. Like, you looked at it as a nerd. I see younger kids getting beat up or, whatever. Um, it was a crazy time. But to see that there's more females getting into gaming, that just makes me even more excited, and especially in the fighters. But this is the problem with Evo, is that certain games that get out there, they cater to the Evo crowd instead of the casual market. And if fight and these lesser known fighters out, they got to make a decision on what they're going to do with their budget. Sony jumps on them, picks them up, has them come on there, and trust me, I have a PlayStation just like I have an Xbox, just like I got a PC, just like I got a Switch. And those games maybe get hot for about a couple of months. After 3 months, they're dead. They're dead. Even on PC, they're dead. Lobbies are there's no like okay, for instance, Dead or Alive. I can play somebody in Dead or Alive on Xbox and on PlayStation. On PC, Dead or Alive 6 is dead. I played one person. One person. I tried for it. Kept coming back, I was playing against the computer, then I'll come back and try nothing. And a game called EX Layer. Really enjoy that fight. Very, very low key, not a well-known fighter at all. Try to play that on play. It's lobbies are dead. Lobbies are dead on PC. So what I think fighters should do. Oh yeah, there's no question in my mind. Street Fighter 6 is coming to Xbox. I just, yeah, I'm saying no. I mean, even if it's announced today, because I know that State of the Play is going to be coming on here coming up here pretty soon. So I'll get out of here, but here in a little bit, but so I can watch it too. But I mean, even if it's announced, no, it's not going to be exclusive. Not this time around. That was one of the worst selling, if not the worst selling, uh, launch Street Fighter in its history. I mean, it was one of the worst. And that was my whole point that I was trying to make of that was where I was going to go to. So I'm glad you brought that up about Street Fighter. Because Street Fighter 5, the game now is solid. It plays very, very well. Got a good deep roster. Love the customization. The net code could be a little bit better, but overall, it's a good solid game now. But it took 5 years, almost 6 years before the game even became what it was. And now the game is done. And now we're getting ready for 6. When that game first launched, that game was bare bones. Didn't even have the bare minimum of what people were accustomed to with Street Fighter. It was crazy disappointing. It didn't chart well. It didn't sell well. It didn't review well. And the story was half-assed when they dropped the story like 3 to 4, but nobody cared at that point. You waited 3 to, what was it, 3 to 4 months after to add a story, and the story just wasn't even compelling at all. So yeah, no, it was an insult to the community. Absolutely, Pixel. It was an insult. And why did they rush their game out? Because of Evo. And when you got competitive it's the same thing with like competitive shooters. Like, do you want to gravitate to one group, or do you want to appease just the Evo players, or do you want to get that casual market back? And that's the thing about fighters that I feel that when I'm talking about the future, that they have to get back to the original recipe. You have to get back that casual gamer that will take the time to play any fighter if it looks cool, if it seems cool, and then word of mouth gets out. I think another thing that's a positive step is these services from Xbox and from PlayStation with Game Pass and the PlayStation Plus. They can both be very beneficial for these fighters going forward. Also, another thing that would be good for these fighters if a lot of them would go free to play. Or take the model of what Killer Instinct and Street Fighter 5 did later on. But what Killer Instinct did that was completely different and unique was that instead of what Street Fighter Cross Tekken did that just made the fighting community livid, was hide characters behind a paywall. That's why that game got so much press. That's a great fighter. Capcom was in their bag in the 2000s, in the 2010s, they were in their bag. They couldn't do anything wrong except for doing that. That was what was the downfall to Street Fighter cross Tekken, in my opinion. When people were used to having the opportunity to play the story mode and earn characters, or go into other modes, or play people on couch co-op, or whatever the case may be, and earn the character like you used to, understanding that the industry is changing, like the microtransaction thing and all of that. Now we understand how it is with the season passes and things like that. But back then, that was rare, that was new, that was not accepted. People wanted that original way of how you went through the story and played the game and earned those characters, and it just didn't happen, right? So looking at this, but when Killer Instinct dropped, right, which surprisingly, I mean, there's see this now. Some people will definitely later on now will tell me now or later on in the chat that that there was another like first party uh game that was really successful. But I mean, you can go back to the Tekkens and stuff, but they were never see back then. We weren't paying attention to the industry like that, so we thought Tekken, Toshinden, um, uh, what was that? Street Fighter EX and Rival Schools and all that. All that stuff was on PlayStation One. We thought those games were Star Gladiator and all that was exclusive. Like we was like, oh man, that's only on PlayStation, right? Like, but it was a second, third party deal. Like, I mean, they had them just locked down. They paid them the money for it and all that. So, and they weren't, and that was the first part of the Saturn's demise, because they never did have those games, and Nintendo didn't have those games. They had their own version of fighters, Clay Fighter, and a couple of other fighters I can't think of right now. But yeah, PlayStation just had tons and tons of just amazing fighters, right? So, and then when you go and you move into the arena fighter with Power Stone and Smash and all these others that's come down the line, the Naruto fighters and all that. So, what up, Rain? That to me is where overall you're looking at this and you're thinking, oh well, man, these games are, but really, Killer Instinct is the only first party game out there that I think that has been as successful as it is. That's why it doesn't make any sense if Microsoft wouldn't do anything with Killer Instinct, which I know they are. So it's just that's when people asking the question if they are. I just hope that they will announce something coming up here in the next couple of weeks. Um, but if they're too far along, then I don't see a reason to bring it up. But if they do have something, please. But I know that they are trying to get that all put together. So, but really, overall, what fighters need to what the industry needs to do with fighters is make these games crossplay. Think about it for a second. And see, for that, I'm like that's my whole thing about the $70 game thing. Like, give me an incentive to make me want to pay $70 for something. Just giving me an average standard game and saying $70, I'm not with that. I'm just not. But if you say, okay, if you pay $70 for this game, we make this game crossplay, have it, have it in like a deluxe version or something of that nature, I'm buying, because I'm always buying fighter. I got tons of fighters, right? Like I want to show more fighters, but I'm trying to talk other people to get these fighters so we can play it. But I mean, actually just go ahead, and I'm starting to get into the mode to where I'm just going to play them um regardless, to let people see them, because there's a lot of good fighters. Like when I was on Fight Night like 2 weeks ago, I showed Sensei, Jubei Sensei, and he was like, what fighter is this? And that's what I was telling about, the Million Arcana Arthur Blood. Like, that game is amazing. It's a great fight. But again, nobody don't really know about it because that's only like a PlayStation. I mean, I'm sorry, that's a PC exclusive fighter, and then there's tons over there. So um, but if you have these games that are on PlayStation and Xbox and on Switch and crossplay, that is See, that to me is where you and I feel the same way about racers as well. Make these games crossplay. Have them to where you can have not about the console war garbage. I'm talking about in the sense of giving these games more time out in the wild, where they won't where other gamers will they can build their own communities within those fighters, especially those niche fighters. Now, the one thing with the niche fighter, which was said when I first put it out there, and it was a really great point, was that those niche type of fighters are probably going to get gobbled up by the highest bidder. Which, case in point, like I was saying, it was like a gift and a curse. They put that on a PlayStation Plus, or they put that on Xbox Game Pass. That is great for that fighter, but it also is could have the potential to backfire in the sense of that game. They got their bag, but will it be just the same way as all the other fighters that's out there? Like right now, I'm playing Guilty Gear Xrd. I really do enjoy. Like I said, I really do enjoy Guilty Gear. It's just that I'm probably I say I'm average, a little bit above average at best. But I really do enjoy it. But I'm looking at this and I'm just like, man, how could this game also it could benefit being on multiple consoles or platforms and having crossplay all the way around? And I understand it takes resources, but if but this is the only way that I see going forward, or making these games free, these fighters come up to be free to play, have that Killer Instinct Street Fighter V model where you present a character, let a person play one to three characters for free, and then let people assess that game and get into that game. Another thing to also get the casual market back into it is got to get back to bringing some kind of compelling stories, right? Like bring back some story modes because there's people that just want to play a story mode. Have a good time, kick some ass, may kick the kids' ass, and then keep it moving. But they already spent the money for that game, so the win is already there. Mortal Kombat is definitely by far, is the best when it comes to telling the stories within fighters. It's not even close, right? And people know if you know me, I love Tekken more than any other fighter out there. Like I love Killer Instinct, but Tekken is number one for me. Always have been, always will be. But and I thought that the last story in Tekken 7 was really, really good. But it just didn't have that pizzazz or that movie type feel like I mean, and I understand that Tekken is a different animal compared to because their storyline is really, really crazy. It's kind of all over the place compared to what Mortal Kombat or Injustice is. But if, like, let's say, for instance, Dead or Alive. Dead or Alive has been half-assed on their stories. Dead or Alive 6 story was so bad. It was one of the worst stories, I think, in fighting game history, next to the Street Fighter V story. Oh, oh, uh, off. The last Dead or Alive story mode that was really good was 4. 4 was it's great. I think that the fight. I think and then you look at like a game like and that was another game that could be added in there, and that's DBZ Fighters. DBZ Fighters is done really really well, and that'll definitely draw a lot of attention, as well. Okay, for instance, another thing too that needs to be addressed that the Japanese fighters need to have is lobbies. That is so vital for the West. I get like in DBZ Fighters, you do that whole Dreamcast, have that old ideology, just having people running around, having a little community. Okay, that's cute. I get it. I'm not tripping about it. But let me go to a place where there's lobbies. They finally added the lobbies to DBZ Fighters, and so now I think that they're seeing that that's the best way for success. That's another thing for the future when it comes to some of these fighters. Because the sad thing is that when you play some of these other fighters that's from the East, they'll have a lobby of 2 people, and that's it. Like there's other people that wants to be in there. You can call, you can get your friends together. You can go jump in and play the game and learn together. And then that's just more investment and more time into that fighter if you have lobbies. Lobbies is very vital to any fighter, especially for anybody that's in the West. And I think really I can't say because I mean I'm not from the East, but I think that that old way of how they do it is just so back. But again, I'm not from the East, so I don't know, and that also turns people away. So when you look at the look at the factors that are the biggest problems are once these games come out in the wild, there is no crossplay, and these lobbies die quick after so long. Another factor is the story modes for people who care about the story mode. That's important to them. They need to invest more into the story of these fighters as well. And then lastly, it is lobbies. And also and well, probably the most important thing is the net code. I am happy and pleased that more and more fighters are going and trying to get their net code correct. So these fighters feel just as good. One of the best net codes I've ever played on a fighter is Melty Blood. It's Melty Blood. That that game just released last year. It's on Xbox, PlayStation, PC. I don't think it's on Switch, but that net code is so damn good. It actually feels like couch co-op. I mean, it is so responsive, so because the game is really paced. I had a lot more other gameplay, but I had, like I said before, I had to install my Windows, and so I lost tons. I could probably have like 3 to 5 hours of just clips of just of me playing all different types of fighters, but I still had some still preserved. So hope you guys are looking at this, and like I said, man, and hoping enjoying it. But I but yeah, those are the main factors that they need to do. And I think if they go with a free to play model, that will help tremendously. Um, just like with this what is it, the miniverse or the multiverse with the WB multiverse thing, that's going to be free to play. That gets people. Brawlhalla is a free to play. I know that these are more arena style Smash type of brothers, but Killer Instinct showed the way of how to get that done. Street Fighter figured it out as well. Street Fighter Five, and I think the more and more that they do this, the more people will be invested into it. And again, like I said, like Tekken had a story mode. DBZ got a story mode. The story mode wasn't the best, but it still at least had better effort than a Dead or Alive or others I've seen out there. But if they try to lift up the level and get to the storylines of where Mortal Kombat is, put a little bit more effort behind that, you will get a casual market because there's always going to be people that will want to know more about these characters, and the more they and if they get invested into the story, if the story is proper, then you can have another fan to the franchise. So, um, what up with you, child of God? Now, listen, that was going to be my last point before I get out of here, but yeah, like okay, Arc System works. The Guilty Gear situation. Um, and beyond that. And then of course another fighter that I'm going to be buying on PC day one um is DNF Duel. Now, from the information that I got was about King of the Fighters. That information was completely accurate, just like with the whole Final Fantasy VII remake thing. Those, you know, what I'm saying, that's now the information seems to be coming back again that Final Fantasy could be coming to Xbox. But of course, all things change, especially if the whole rumors about Square Enix getting acquired by Sony. That's out the window. I think that they'll, unless that there was some kind of contract obligation or something like that, kind of like with this Call of Duty situation. I don't know, um, but I've kind of said this: if Sony keeps locking down these type of fighters like DNF Duel and Guilty Gear, and then now all of a sudden like uh Blaze Blue, which is another um Arc System Works game, then like I mean, Sony should just go ahead and acquire them. Just lock them down. You know what I'm saying? Just put them on. You know what I mean? Because paying just enough to have it. Let's just be honest. It don't, like I said about Guilty Gear Strive, it only sold 1 million, a little bit over 1 million. It won fighting game of the year last year. I understand. I mean, that's. I mean, I don't know, man, and I don't see. And that game is already the lobbies aren't as strong as they used to be. And when DNF fighter or duel comes out, DNF duel, that's what it's not DNF fighters, DNF duel comes, then there's going to be more people that's going to abandon Guilty Gear. So so the only thing that I could see if Sony does not acquire them, then Sony can put them into their services, which I think that is the smart decision to do because that gives people the opportunity to play those games. Now, what I would like to do and hope to think that Sony will do is also have their own um like internet thing where they can have like it hooked up to like a PlayStation Now site or something like that to where or just call it PlayStation Plus to where you can play those games on PC. I mean, you know, because to me, I just everything is just I'm kind of sick of the whole locking these games down. If they're first party, it's a whole different story. I get it, but to lock games down just for that, like Final Fantasy VII remake, I get it. That will sell consoles, but I don't think, and you know, I love fighters. I just don't see the needle being moved that big to where somebody's going to be buying Guilty Gear Strive, buy a $500 console for Guilty Gear Strive. I just don't see it. I don't. So, um, so okay, so Dutch, you're saying that most people are playing fight, but if those fighting games don't come to PlayStation, don't come to Xbox or Switch, how are they going to have a chance to play them? See, that's that. See, again, that's that fanboy ideology that just don't make any damn sense. You can't play those games if the games aren't there available to play, and that's what I'm saying. Like the service aspect of it makes total sense. And if Sony puts those games on the service, if they lock down the studio, then okay, it's a first party. So there ain't no, I don't have a problem with that. But to just lock it down, and then if you don't put those games into the PS Plus service and just have them there, then those lobby the Guilty Gear Strive lobby will be dead, just like this fighter, just like this Guilty Gear XR will be. Nobody's playing that. Nobody. Yeah, it's a really stupid logic to say, well, these games. That's like saying, oh well, I mean, like Halo or like Horizon Zero Dawn. Well, you know, you got we understand if it's a first party, it's fine. But if it's a third party, second party, like bro, it's those days are over. Let everybody have a chance to play those games. That's always been my opinion on it. Like I mean, first party should be first party. I get it, but now for people that are invested in gaming like they are, and they know the information now compared to what we learned when we seen Tekken and all of those and all these other games back on the during the PlayStation One era. It's a whole different ball game now. Yeah, I want to see these games preserved. I don't want to see these fighters go away. I don't want to see no fighter go away. I don't want to see any game go away. It's sad to me that like a game like Jump Force is going to the servers are going to get shut down. I mean, you can still play it locally and you can still play the server. I mean, play the story. Oh my God, the story it's awful, but you can still play the game locally. Somebody come over and stuff like that. So me and Yobi and maybe a couple others, we're gonna go crazy playing it before they shut the servers down, streaming it, having a good time, giving it its sign off. But and hopefully that would mean that there may be a Jump Force 2 coming in the future or whatever. Hopefully. I don't know. But I never really paid attention to what the sales numbers were like. I think that they did good enough. But again, what killed that game was two factors. The story was awful, and that the game didn't have lobbies. Because now, if you remember, I believe Jump Force did go into Game Pass, and it got a bump in sales. But a lot of people were complaining that man, we need a lobby. So that's where we're at. So Well, and that's the point too, Mr. Kima. Like, I get it. It's it is frustrating, but it's also too, Sony's over here giving them the bag. I mean, what are they supposed to do? It's just kind of like with EX Layer. There were people that were upset that EX Layer wasn't on the Switch. And so they said, well, we have to prioritize of where we're going to make the games from. I mean, make the we got to prioritize which platform we're going to put it on. And if they felt like at the time Sony was the number one console with the PlayStation 4, then it was smart to do that. So they felt that that was the best way to do it. And then they eventually, because people on PC and Switch, the people were upset that the game wasn't on there. Well, when the game finally did release on PC, nobody cared. And that's unfortunate. The game looks and plays beautiful on PC. But that's just what I'm saying. That's why crossplay is so important. The big seven of the titles that I named, they're going to be fine. The Street Fighters, the Tekkens, the Mortal Kombat's, the Injustice, the DBZ Fighters, but let's think about it. Okay, King of the Fighters could be not King of the, well, that's another point. That's what's going to be my other point. King of the Fighters, probably the biggest budget King of the Fighters ever. And I know that there'll probably be some people that debate if it's the best King of the Fighters fighting style or whatever, because there's still a lot of love for King of the KOF 13 and KOF 2002 and 98. But this was one of the biggest budgets, if not the biggest budget game that they've made for KOF. Game is absolutely gorgeous. Game is wonderful, and it has lobbies, which is a definite plus. But again, if it had crossplay, I guarantee you, if there's not a lot of Xbox gamers playing it, there's going to be PlayStation gamers playing it. If it's not a lot of PlayStation, like Dead or Alive is always constant. I can find me matches on Dead or Alive every day, every time I play it. There's always people playing Dead or Alive on Xbox, more than on PlayStation, believe it or not. But like I was saying earlier, Dead or Alive is dead. So if you have all those games, if you have King of the Fighters PC, until Nintendo get some hardware to where they can push these games, then we got to leave. That's the only problem for Nintendo. But PC, Xbox, PlayStation, have crossplay. I guarantee you there will be more life, and then that builds in more of the gaming community. And even if it brings back that old school way of like, hey, yeah, you talk your shit and say, look, you Xbox dudes don't know how to play the game, or you PlayStation dudes don't know how to play the fighters, whatever the case may be. But you still build a community in that fighting space. And that preserves those games to still stand out and have some time to breathe and grow. That's my whole point. That's the future for fighters, is those things I laid out. My last that's I'll just point it out one more time for people who came in late. Crossplay for more niche titles, go free to play. Add those games on services, give more compelling stories, lobbies, and stop trying to make every damn fighter Evo centric. Think about the casual market. DBZ fighters almost seem like they almost said hell with it. When they brought that last DLC character, which both of them, Lab Coat, and then there's so many damn versions of Goku, but the Dragon Ball Z GT version of Vegeta and Goku, I can't think of what that version name is, but regardless, they were OP as hell. They weren't Evo eccentric where you had to have this and have that and dumb them down and just have fun. Just jump in, let some people press some buttons, kick ass for a minute, and they will be all in. Not every character. There's always I can't stand Nightmare from Soul Calibur, but you know what? That's the go-to. You press a couple of buttons, he do all types of crazy shit, and he will beat your ass on top of it. And that's cool. That's fine. Whatever. As a person who likes to play fighters, I'm cool with it. I don't like it. I don't like to lose, But I get it. You know what I'm saying? You have to have characters like that's what that's a like Law is a go-to character for Tekken. Like, he's quick, you press some buttons, or Eddie. He's very easy. He's more every character can be technical, but then also you look at a game like Dead or Alive. Not only it's a gorgeous fighter, but it's very casual centric. You just go in there, press some buttons, you beat some ass. Vegito. I think it is Vegito. I can't remember. Like it's so many damn versions of them, but I do like GT. I do love GT. I did like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so no, I do. So well, I love Soul Calibur too, but I'm just not as good as I used to be. After Soul Calibur 3, my skills fell off, but I wasn't really playing Soul Calibur that much. I mean, I got Street Fighter, I got a Soul Calibur 5, 4, 5. I got them all. Because I got the other ones on 360, but I mean, it is what it is. But I just think that that's the direction where you're going. Now, again, certain fighters have way more ability to go ahead and just pay the money, get your season pass. But for these more smaller niche fighters, man, come on, man, come on. You know what I'm saying. I hope somebody is listening and somebody's coming up with that idea. Maybe, hopefully, but it will be it'll be one of those things I think that will help the fighting market continue to grow. Because when you have 7 games that are big titles overall, yeah, that's cool, but that's not enough. That's shrinking the fighting market. It's becoming too niche. And that's one of the reasons is because the casual market, they don't like the first thing you say, like when you ask somebody, hey, do you play fighting games? Oh, I seen it. It looked cool, but I can't play it. And I don't want to spend it. People don't have time like that like they used to when they were teenagers or when they were in their 20s or whatever. They don't have time like that. They just want to go in there, play a game, have a good time with it, maybe jump on a story and keep it moving. And if they know enough people that's playing it, they'll jump into a lobby and they'll play the game. Other than that, if it's too complicated because they see all these people in Evo and they doing all types of crazy shit, got somebody you see people getting real sweaty, or you jump into a lobby and there's a sweaty person that gets in there, they ain't, oh shit, I'm turning this off. I ain't, nope. So put these games into a service, let people get an opportunity to play them and play with people that aren't assholes that just want to beat a person that they know that is a novice. You know what I mean? So I don't know. For the people that'll listen to this later, I can't wait to hear your thoughts about it. I think that PlayStation show is going to be coming on here pretty soon. So I better get out of here. But I just wanted to let like I said, this is my little segment I'm going to be doing every week, is giving my thoughts about certain things. But I really feel that those factors will help fighters go forward. I really, 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 really do. So with that being said, man, yes. If you're new to the channel, thank you for coming through, stopping by. Go ahead and hit that sub button. I'm trying to go ahead and get to 4,000. I'm right there. Yeah, I will be doing a giveaway. I will announce that if I get to 5,000 by the end of the year, it won't be a cheap giveaway. Cheap giveaway either. A nice one. But I do appreciate the people that's been coming through with the and the support of the channel for sure. I do my fight nights. I would love to do my fight nights on YouTube, but I always get flashed for some reason, because when you start playing those games from the East, man, they hit you with that copyright. So I'm just kind of like, well, what's the point? And then when you get so many copyrights, it kills your algorithm anyway. So, and that's if you monetize or if you don't. So it's just it does it automatically. So that's why I haven't done it. I can only play certain fighters, but I plan on doing it because I won't be having GRG this Friday. So I will be streaming and I will be playing some fighters or whatever. So um so yeah, for sure, man. I hope you guys will have a good one, and I will see you next video. I'll be doing a next podcast too tonight on Xbox 448's channel. You want to stop by 7 p.m. Central? Have a good time. Let's go. All right, everybody have a good one. You said Deadly Move. What was that? Oh man, did you say somebody say Starman from Pro Wrestling? Oh my God, that was my game right there. If Starman was my dude, that was the one. Starman, and there was a dude in the black tights. I forget what his name was, and then there was Amazon. Those players, those the three players the people played the most. I mean, I know there weren't that many characters in pro wrestling on NES, but yeah, but Starman was my dude, man. That was my dude. But anyway, everybody have a good one.